That was a pretty good episode. I'd hesitate to say that it's as good as the past handful of episodes, but it was still pretty good. I guess the first thing to say is this reboot, you can't really take something from the original, right, and turn it into a fairly big twist. Maybe I'm taking this out of proportion here, but I think it's safe to say that this episode revolved around one fairly major twist. But the twist is something that is kind of mentioned in an offhanded comment in the original, and so it's not even made a big deal of in the original. And yet here, it's the thing the entire episode rolls around, and so it just kind of was a nothing episode in that regard. The entire episode rolls around the idea that everyone in this anime assumes that Shingo is a creepy stalker that is trying to stalk Korin because she's a member of Ultra Rare, and all idols and all stalkers and all get it. But then immediately I'm like, well, in the original, he was a really big Aichi fan, not a Korin fan. And to my not surprise, that was what they were hoping I would fall for. That's the point of the episode. The point of the episode is the subversion of expectations, that Shingo isn't actually a shallow idol fan. He's actually a fan of Aichi's card fighting skills because he saw him win the Asia Circuit on TV. And I mean, cool, but it's so nothing to someone that's seen the original. Like, I imagine it'd be a somewhat competent twist, I guess, to someone that started with the reboot, but why bother spending an entire episode about this? I mean, I get it. We're spending an episode on each of the characters from the Card Fight Club, and Shingo being a really big Aichi fanboy is probably the biggest facet of his character at this point. So it would make sense to make that the thing that the episode focuses on. But it's kind of baffling because it's like, yeah, we know. And I get it, the manga did that. But so? This is an adaptation, it's supposed to change things. I get it, I'm going through the same few arguments. And whilst we're on the topic of going through the same few arguments, I'm going to say it every time. And I'm going to get a comment replying to it every time. Say along with me, this episode didn't show the entire card fight. Yes, I know, and the comment that replies to this will say exactly this. The first few turns of a card fight don't matter. And I know you keep saying that, and I know everyone keeps insisting that, and I know that everyone that's played pros and in tournaments that are like, oh, the first few turns don't matter. I still want to see them though. Why exist if not to show? I want to see the full card fight. The previous episode didn't seem to have a problem with that. This episode has a problem with that. And you know, they could have just managed their time better. They could have just took a little bit away from the whole Aichi twist and put that towards the card fight. Like, I'm not even saying, like, show them in excruciating detail. Like, fast cuts would be fine, you know? Like, card fight starts with them turning the cards over, and then we quickly get Aichi draws, summons, ends turn. Shingo draws, summons, and, like, you could do it very quickly in, like, a matter of seconds with fast cuts. It's just really jarring when a card fight starts and immediately the field is completely full of monsters, and it's like, what the fuck happened here? You know? Like, just something to kind of ease me in. Again, I guess that's a case of taste, but it could be handled better. Again, I get that you don't want to, like, dwell on the first few turns and, like, spend hours on them, but I'm not even asking for hours. I'm asking just for, like, 10 seconds. I kind of like Naoki in this episode. There's, like, a part that I do like and a part that I don't really love. But I will say I really like that even though we've had the very kind of formulaic, this is the Korin episode, this is the Naoki episode, this is the Shingo episode, and so on and so forth. I like that we're still getting parts of the other characters during the other episodes. Anyway, like, this episode focused a lot on Naoki still and his development and the fact that he's already beat Morikawa, which isn't much of an achievement. But I liked that stuff, and I liked the scene where he was, like, going to the school and everything and being like, oh, now I have motivation, now I have a purpose and everything. And it was still a bit on the nose, I get that. But I like that they're trying to capture, like, the genuine excitement of getting into a card game. And I feel like that scene did a pretty good job of it. What I'm not the biggest fan of, though, are the scenes where they go out of their way to massively exaggerate the, get it? He's angry. He's a brute. He can't control. Like, they basically reversed my criticism and what I enjoyed about the previous episode. In the previous episode, I was like, oh, you know, his motivation was a bit too on the nose and everything. But I like how subtle they were with his anger. This time it was the other way around. This time, like, him getting into the card game and having friends finally and everything, I think that part was handled pretty well. But this time the anger was like, ooh, get it? Comedy relief. Ooh, get it? You can make GIFs of this and post it to Twitter. You know, it just felt a bit like, yeah, we get it. He's angry. And I know the reboots had like a knack for that. It's had a knack for exaggerating character traits and everything. But I feel like this was a step too far because Naoki was already a brash character. And exaggerating it further just makes him seem like cartoonishly brash. And I get it, it's an anime, it's gonna be cartoonish. But this was a little bit too far for my taste. Again, it's not a big problem, I still like this episode, but it was something to mention. Another thing that I find weird, and again this is a nitpick, you'll notice that most of my problems with this episode and the previous one are mostly just nitpicks, because overall I still really like the episode. And so the only things to point out really are nitpicks. And this is one at the beginning of the opening theme where you have like the intro narration by Aichi, and it shows like the silhouette for the rest of the CardFight Club. And it annoys me that they show the silhouette, because it's like, we know who the other people are. We know. Even if you got rid of the original entirely, we'd still know from like the opening theme and from which characters have been getting the most screen time and everything. It's only really been the members of the CardFight Club that have had any sizable screen time so far. So why bother keeping it a mystery? Why bother like filling in each of the silhouettes by episode? Again, it's the tiniest of nitpicks. Most people probably won't even pay attention during that like 10-second narration thing at the beginning of the opening. But it's still like, okay, cool. You filled in the silhouette. Well done. It feels like we're making progress. Yeah, like it feels like this anime doesn't trust us to keep watching, which to be fair, after the Foo Fighter arc, that's like a valid concern to have. But like there's constantly the carrot on the string, like, ooh, something's gonna happen. And at first I praised this, like in the episode 2 review or something, where immediately after Aichi gets his blaster blade back, it's immediately set up that, oh, now Aichi's goal is to beat Morikawa. Ooh, now Aichi's goal is to do this. Now it's to do that. And at first that was fine, but now it's just like, okay, cool, I get it. You know, because not only with this one is it, ooh, we're forming the CardFight Club, which we already knew about. Like, you don't need to shove it into every aspect of the episode. Like, we get that he's trying to form the CardFight Club. And I like that they're taking their time to do that. But not only that, but the torn poster thing still hasn't been solved. And no matter who it ends up being, I just don't care anymore. I barely cared in the first place. Like, at first I was expecting it to be a very simple, like, oh no, Naoki tore the poster. But the fact that they don't show him tear it, and the fact that they keep mentioning it, and the fact that now that Naoki's been redeemed and everything, it seems like it wasn't Naoki. It's like, oh my god, I don't care. Like, it's probably Misaki at this point, since she's like trying to quit card fighting. And I'll admit, that's my least favorite part of this arc so far. It's how they've handled Misaki, which, to be fair, they haven't done much with her. It doesn't look like they're going to be doing much until the next episode, where she finally gets her card fight and everything. But they're going down this whole, ooh, she's a depressed emo, and she's considering stopping to play the card game, and she's barely turning into work anymore. And it seems kind of unwarranted. Like, if they did this during the Foo Fighter arc, then it could be interesting, you know? Like, oh, you know, the Foo Fighter, the AL4 come into town and they start electrocuting everyone and taking over card shops, and that's the reason that Misaki loses her motivation. That would be interesting. There's things you could do with that. Oh, you know, I mean, it'd still be the whole, like, oh, electrocution bad, having fun good, which has been done before so many times, but it would make more sense during that arc. Here, it's just kind of like, I guess her motivation, or lack of motivation, is that she's jealous of Aichi. Like, and they even end the episode with, like, a really dramatic, oh, Misaki leaves the classroom and runs into Aichi and the others, and, like, stares at them with, like, an angsty look on her face. And then we fade to black, and it goes to be continued. That's the end of the episode, alright? Was that supposed to be, like, a dramatic, like, ooh, what's gonna happen next? Like, no, I know that by the end of the next episode, Misaki will be won over again and will join the CardFight Club again. This reboot is really dwelling hard on the things that the original even didn't care that much about. Like, the Misaki thing was handled and swept under the rug real fast. It was like, yeah, she didn't really want to be there, but she joined out of obligation for Aichi. And once she joined, she then started to kind of grow attached to the rest of the club little by little, to the point where she started wearing Korin's like hairband as a bracelet in the Legion Mate arc and everything. And it just feels a bit too, like, over-exaggerated. Like, it's as if they think that portraying any problem or character with any nuance will just go over the fan's head. And I don't appreciate that, because it's like, I know I can watch stuff competently and understand what's going on. You don't have to go, ooh, is Misaki bad now? Ooh, is Naoki gonna be boring adult? Ooh, is someone gonna rip the card fight poster? Oh no, what happened next? And again, I'm being very nitpicky and hyperbolic. I don't mean these problems to the extent that it sounds. I still really liked this episode, but it just kind of conveys that the writing lacks a lot of the subtlety that the original had. And everyone always says that the original did a really good job of capturing a slice of life tone. And that's true. This kind of almost gets there, but then you'll have like a couple lines of just like really forced writing that'll just kind of snap me back out of it again. And it's not the worst, but it's bad. And what's the point of remaking something if it's just going to be worse than the original? Insert comment about manga adaptation here.